Okay, y'all, so we are having an honest conversation about what it looks like to have childlike faith in Christ. I quite literally have it tattooed on me. This is a word that God spoke to me. I want to say either sometime late last year or like early this year, like in January 25 or something like that. But regardless, he spoke it to me and he said, have childlike faith in me. And I have an idea of what that looks like, but I personally had to grow up kind of quickly. I got younger siblings. I have an older sibling, but I have younger siblings. I did have a childhood. It may have been a quick childhood. Everybody experienced something in their childhood, but I personally believe I had to grow up a little quicker. I still went outside to play. I still hung out with people. We still went places for vacation and stuff like that. But maturity wise, I had to grow up quickly. So, so now I'm 21 years old, and I've been walking with the Lord. I've known of the Lord all my life, like always been in church camp, all of that and stuff like that. But my relationship didn't start with God until 2023. I was 18 and I just turned 21. So I was 18, finna turn 19, and then I just turned 21 in July. Now, I say an honest conversation about childlike faith in Christ because how many times do we actually go through things in life, and how many times does God tell us, don't worry, don't fear, if I'm not worried about it, you shouldn't be worried about it. Cast all your burdens and your anxieties onto me because I care. Like, right? God cares. He doesn't want us to worry about these things. He doesn't want us stressed out about all these different types of things. So yeah, I even got a tattooed on me. He spoke and he said, have childlike faith in me. And, the past like few weeks, that's something he's been reminding me of, is have childlike faith in me. And I've been asking him, like, Lord, what does that even look like? Like, I have things I need to pay about. There are things that goes on in my life that is just like behind the scenes between me and God. And he tells me to have childlike faith in him. And I haven't had to been a child. Like, I haven't been a child in a very long time. Like, I've always been mature for my age. I've grown up quickly. So for God to tell me have childlike faith in me, I have been confused as to what that looks like, because Lord, I'm 21 years old. I'm obviously not a child anymore, but yet I'm to have childlike faith in you, right? And so I told my best friend this example a long time ago, and thank God she reminded me of this yesterday, because I was talking to her about what childlike faith was. When God first was speaking it to me, I was giving her an example. And so when I was talking to her and I was asking her, like, what does childlike faith look like to you? And she was like, well, you told me once upon a time. She's like, what? And she gave me the example that I gave her, which is like, I'm so glad she's a great listener. But so the example that she reminded me of was like when kids go and sit down at a table to eat, right? The child, all they're supposed to do is just sit down and wait. They're not worried about how much the food costs. They're not worried about where the food's coming from. They're not worried about if there's even going to be food at the table, right? The child is just supposed to sit at the table expecting. When you're a kid and you're sitting at the table, you're expecting your food to come, right? Like, it's going to come. You don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know how it's going to come. You're not worried about those things either. So as a child, you're sitting there at the table expecting and knowing a meal's going to come so that you can eat and go to bed. That is the same childlike faith that we're supposed to have in Christ. We're not supposed to worry about the hows, whos, whens, theirs, abouts, whys. We're just supposed to wait in expectancy for it to be provided for us. And I think that I've kind of been out of touch with that. I think that for so long, I've always been the person who had to work and get what I want. Like, yeah, my parents provided, they gave me what, but once I started working, that quickly got cut off. So, it's just been me doing a lot of God providing for me, but me having to like work and do it, And so I've gotten into a state of just working 2 and 3 jobs and, my business and everything, to just get it myself, do it myself in my own power, in my own strength. And that is something that God is breaking from me. It's that I don't have to do it by myself. I don't have to do it in my own strength. Matter of fact, He can do it, and I can lean into His strength and lean into His understanding and not my own understanding, and trust that He will provide and trust that He will come through. So I am off today. Like, I don't have to work today. And I was asking God yesterday, because I was coming home today, and I was like, am I going to work tomorrow? As in, like, I work for myself. So am I working tomorrow? And I just felt like He wasn't really saying anything. I kind of feel like in that moment He told me worry about today, and I'm kind of already like, Lord, it's 10 o'clock at night. Today is almost over. Like, it's the day is almost over. I'm trying to figure out if I'm working tomorrow so I can get some things planned for tomorrow if I'm working, time frames and stuff like that. And so I went to sleep, and I don't know when this happened, but I seen it was just an image of me at the park with my chalk box. I do have chalk, y'all. I bought this chalk when my little brother came over like some months back, and I never opened it, and it was just kind of sitting underneath my my nightstand. And so when I was asleep, and I vividly remember seeing this very bright, colorful box of chalk and me outside drawing on the pavement, I was just like, Lord. Like, I woke up knowing, okay, I'm not working today, knowing, okay, go to the park today. But also, I was talking to God, like, Lord, I'm 21 years old, finna be sitting at the park, coloring, drawing chalk on the ground. And so all that reminded me of was have childlike faith. And you know what? Sometimes I have to do childish things to bring back that active faith, that active childlike faith, right? And it's not that playing with chalk is childish, okay? I blow bubbles sometimes, I go on walks. But just doing things that kids do so that I can bring back out like a childhood and stuff like that. Like the other day, me and God watched Horton Hears a Who. Haven't seen that movie in years, and He reminded me of it, and we sat there and we watched Horton Hears a Who. And then I was at my mom's house the other day, and I seen a kite. Y'all, I think I only flew a kite one time in my life, and it didn't even fly. Okay, it I don't know if it was windy, but the kite actually got tangled up, and it just didn't fly. So, but I seen a kite on the ground, and it just reminded me of my childhood. I was like, wow, I haven't seen a kite in years. I didn't even know they still made these things, to be honest. I have not seen a kite in a very long time, like years. So that just reminded me of childlike faith, just because these are things that kids do. I told God that I was probably going to go have to buy some Barbie dolls and, a Barbie mansion and start playing like I was a kid again. And to be honest, I'm just going to have to let Him lead me in what that looks like. Because we all need childlike faith. We all need childlike faith. I say that because it gets exhausting being an adult. It gets exhausting trying to figure out where's this going to come from, how am I going to provide and do this, that, and the third. And it's so much easier to just lean on God and trust Him, even if it's not in your timing, even if it looks weird, even if it looks like it's not, like nothing's happening, I'm not seeing anything from waiting and being patient with Him. But there is something in that process. So I've just been, I'm just sharing with y'all just my journey so far and where I'm at currently, working on having childlike faith in God, in Christ. Like, it's literally, He literally said, have childlike faith in me. Like, and then it's His hand and then my hand, and we're supposed to be holding hands together. And it says, have childlike faith in me. And so for me to have childlike faith in Him, I have to do childlike things. So eventually, it might not even be today, but I brought it just in case. I'm finna leave because it's hot. But, have childlike faith in God. I think it's good to have childlike faith. It's important. It's helpful. So yeah, bye.